Good morning. So, I guess I have a couple topics we'll go over today that I know something about. So, I guess electrolysis is something we'll talk about because my face is aching from yesterday, but that's fine. It's something we go through, and it's one of the first things that most trans women experience. It's a very necessary thing, and it takes a while. It's not like you can just go in for one surgery and pop, you're done. Although I have heard that you can pay an awful lot of money and have someone Novocaine your face and get like several electrolysists to just swarm you for 8 or 10 hours or something, I suppose. Good news, I suppose, is Kaiser does cover that in Southern California, I believe, too. So my Kaiser plan covers permanent facial hair removal. There are several options in that category. Of course, you have laser, which, everyone assumes, I'll just go get it lasered off, it'll be done, I have bad news for you. In the age group that we are, when you're talking 40 to 60 years old or older, we have gray hair in our beard. So laser's not going to do a thing for that. And in general, laser's not FDA approved and has not been proven to be a permanent hair removal method. I do know that it has had some success, but it's also had some very scary failure. And I know of at least 2 people who actually now go to electrolysis on a regular basis to remove the dead hair follicles that remained underneath the surface of the skin. And unfortunately, that left them with a shadow. The hair wasn't there, but the shadow of the dark follicle and the follicular matter in their face, still making their face a different shape, was a serious problem. I mean, who wants to remove the hair and still have the shadow? So the only method by which I'm aware is straight galvanic, where they insert a probe into the hair follicle, add a little tiny itty bitty bit of current, and lye is produced, and the lye kind of melts everything, and it actually foams up, and it'll actually push the matter out. So if there's dead follicular matter inside the pore, it has the ability to push it out. Not every single time. Sometimes your body has to reject it on its own, and it takes a while. But the only method that I'm aware of that will do that is galvanic electrolysis with a probe that goes into the follicle itself. And that's what I do. And the beauty is, if you have an ingrown hair or something, I had an ingrown hair on the back of my neck, and my electrolysis, what's this? What is this? And she goes after it, and I'm like, oh, okay, go right ahead, So she gets it, and it was bad. Like, it was this really badly ingrown hair, like up by my hairline in the back, and I knew there was a bump there for like a year, and I didn't know what it was. And she got it, and she's like squeezing all the stuff out of it. I'm like, ugh, gross. And she's like, I know, it's gross. But, she took care of it, and it's gone. So I was like, oh, wow, I wish I'd known that. That's kind of cool. And if I get an ingrown hair and I come back, she takes care of it. Today, I'm in what's known as, and we will be using this term, and it's a colloquial term that my friends and I have come up with. We're in buttercup mode. So buttercup mode is when you need to go to the electrologist. You have to have a day or two's worth of growth, actually a couple days. So you need like 48 hours worth of growth. So they have something to grab with tweezers. And therefore, that means you have stubble on your face as you go out into the world. I don't know how visible it is on camera, but this whole area is untouched. And then some scruff around the chin, and then a little corner over here. I was at electrolysis appointment yesterday, about 4 hours again, and we did some cleanup, jamming all the way across, almost. We still have this portion here of upper lip cleanup. It's starting to get really good. Prior to that, we'd stripped out some new zone on the scruff here on the muzzle, and and that was looking good. The top look, it's going to have some grow back. Occasionally what happens, you get new growth and it will fill back in and do things. The upper lip's the worst. So you got to do that a few times. But once it's done, it's done. And just to go in for the little bitty cleanups, and it gets easier and easier as you go, and faster as you go. Initially, you can barely clear like a little tiny area because it's so dense. And then as it gets more sparse and lighter and closer to the surface, and the hairs are not as strong, you can cover bigger areas. Like the first time we did, big bump. Jeez Louise. The first time we did the upper lip, we could only get like a tiny little, like 1 inch square. In fact, I'm not even sure we got that much. And we finally got all the way across, and then finally we did it again, and finally, she's doing cleanup, and I'd left it for weeks, probably a month or so, and so she could have gone all the way across, but we worked over here, and we worked down here, and we did some cleanup. Could have been done in one big swipe, but we just were kind of all over the place. Some electrologists choose to do things in patches. Bumpy. Dirt roads to get home. And leave and go to work. Lots of washboardy stuff. And I've done both. So I've had the two types that are most common. So electrolysis comes in two flavors. You have thermolysis. Thermolysis is like a tiny antenna. They put it right near the follicle. They don't actually just go all the way to the base of the follicle, so they don't have to. And a little bit of radio frequency cooks the tissue, cooks the follicle, and then they remove it. And it's not terribly effective at doing some instant kill-off, because you're going to have to do it a few times on the same follicle. But it does work, and it's pretty darn fast, because it's radio frequency energy, and it's just a little tiny pop, and then they take it, so they can move from hair to hair pretty quickly. And then cover bigger areas. The problem is it's going to grow back 3 or 4 times. Whereas if galvanic is done correctly the first time, it does not grow back. It's dead. But it takes, 6-8 seconds or so worth of galvanic action. But it's not as bad as you would think. It's not as slow as it sounds. So straight galvanic's gotten kind of a bad reputation. I prefer it big time. It's so much more efficient. But the second method, of course, that I've used is galvanic. And galvanic is a tiny, tiny little wire. And it's about 1/8 of an inch or 3/16 of an inch long, or I guess 4 or 5 millimeters, 4.5 something. So they actually insert that into the hair follicle pore. It sounds horrendous. It's not bad. Sometimes you don't even feel it, to be honest, because it just goes in there. And they apply a tiny amount, and I mean just really tiny amount of current, electrical current. And you have your hand in a bowl of water, you're holding a moist, spongy thing that completes the circuit. And the electricity is so small, it's just like, but you feel it. Let me tell you something, you ever put a 9-volt battery on your tongue? You could feel it. The 9 volts is way, way more than what they put through your tiny pores, so you would not want a 9-volt your follicle. It would make your eyes glow. So so they insert the probe, and they apply, for 6 or so seconds. It actually foams the lymph and everything that's there, the fluids. There's moisture and salt, and it turns into lye. It turns into sodium hydroxide or something. Maybe that's wrong. I'm not a chemical person. And so that then kind of melts the follicle and eats everything, and they give it a little tug after, a little bit, and it slides right out. And there's this great big silver sheath around it and everything. It's the whole follicle. The whole thing comes out. It looks like a baseball bat. They're crazy. And they're so much bigger than you would think. The facial hair, it goes like 3/16 of an inch into your face. You could shave and pluck one. The thing's more than 1/8 of an inch long. It's like, oh my goodness, this is huge. So it's really surprising. Oh, my voice is dry today. Surprising how far that stuff goes in there. And And of course, it has to be done one at a time. It's not like laser where they just zap it and it's gone. The problem with laser is if you don't have perfectly dark hair that's kind of shallow and on the surface, and if you're pretty young and you have absolutely jet black hair, maybe it will work for you. I don't know. I haven't tried that. But if you have gray hair or brown hair or red hair, you're hosed. You're not going to get laser done because it's not going to be effective. You need the black pigmentation to heat up properly. And it has to go all the way, that thing has to heat up and evaporate all the way inside your flesh like 1/8 of an inch. So it can't be too deep. And, a lot of times if we're older, it really keeps going in there. I think the theory is, I don't know if this is true, the theory is that the reason your beard goes gray is because as the follicles get older and bigger and wirier and they grow deeper and deeper and deeper, and the melanin layer of your surface of your skin is only a certain level, and as the follicle moves deeper and deeper, it gets past the melanin layer and no longer receives melanin coloring pigments, and that's why it goes gray. And it's bizarre, I don't know if that's true. It certainly sounds plausible because I've seen a lot of the dark hairs and they're more surfacey, and I've seen some of the light hairs and they're huge and deep and they're way, way down in there, They get more blood flow as well, so the white ones are bigger and fatter and stronger because they're closer to the source of supply of blood, so they just grow better. And it's weird. I guess that might be how gray beard hair works. That's the theory I've heard. Sounds plausible. So. But of the two types, the one that's commonly used is a blend of the two, so galvanic blend. The problem is most operators have the ability to simply turn up the radio frequency and turn down the period of time or the interval for galvanic. And the way that the blend works is they give you a shot of current with a probe, and it starts the process, the chemical process, and then the RF pops and gives it heat, and the heat speeds the chemical reaction that's occurring, so it doesn't take as long for the sodium hydroxide or lye or whatever the heck it is to develop, and then they can move quicker. It's not as reliable as you would think, and it's really up to the operator. There might be some really good operators who do this great, and then there are some that just turn the RF energy up and the timer down to move quicker, and all they're really doing is thermolysis. The thing I will warn everyone about thermolysis, and again, this is something I've heard, I'm not the fact madam on this one, is that the heat created during the RF or radio frequency energy that's put in there, the heat created affects your collagen in your face. So as you get finally done with all of this, and I've seen some girls that grow up, and I'm not going to name any names, and maybe they're just older and that's the way things are. There's a lot of fine wrinkle lines, around the mouth, and kind of like, smokers kind of thing. And I'm wondering, is all that heat that's hurting the collagen, and the collagen does not want to grow back, make you age quicker? So that's the danger I worry about, is that the RF energy from thermolysis or someone who's doing galvanic blend with heavy radio frequency, they're going to age you. Goodness, I don't want to be done with this and be 10 years older looking. So, and I do know some girls that have gone to straight galvanic. They have beautiful skin. I mean, they're in their 50s, and I'll tell you something, their skin looks great, smooth and plump and perfect, and so from my experience, I would much prefer to go galvanic. It seems to me that's the way to do things. So that's what I'm doing. My results are nice. I like the results. Oh my gosh, my hands are so dry. So I'll get a bunch of lotion all over them. So of the two right now, I'm now doing galvanic, and we just strip areas. We don't do the jumping around and trying to make areas lighter and sparser and all that kind of stuff. I did that with the galvanic blend operator, and I had no results. The results were not good. It just kept growing back, and nothing seemed different. And I used a lot of EMLA cream, which is a lidocaine, prilocaine cream that numbs your face. I don't do that now with a straight galvanic. I just go take a couple Tylenol, 4 hours. It's not as bad as you might think, Yeah, it sucks, but just do it. Get some determination and, relax. Learn to just relax. So, when it comes to the way that we're doing it now, she just goes up and down, stripping lines, and it clears an area. And honestly, I like it better, even though it makes my face uneven and weird. I shave it all off and hit myself with a makeup stick, just to cover up. And that's where I'm at today, because if I didn't have makeup stick on, it'd be hideous. And where there's scruff, cheese grater's in there, and you gotta swish it around, and but I can go to work and it's no big deal, and as long as somebody doesn't come and scrutinize my face right up close, it's fine. So that's the deal. So I recommend you get started right away. If you're brand new and you're like, well, what do I do? I'm definitely transitioning. I just, contemplated all of this and I want to do something. Well, take care of your health. Make sure you're taking vitamins and seeing your doctor. The first thing to do is go see your doctor, or explain to them, I identify as trans, and certainly talk about hormones and things, but that's not the most important thing in the world. You're going to be doing that for the rest of your life. The two things you want to see about are permanent facial hair removal. What's the difference? So you don't shave ever again? Well, fine, who cares? And of course, take care of your blood pressure and anything else. You have health issues, you want to live a nice long life and you want to be healthy. So those are important things. If you have weight to lose the weight. You don't want the boy fat on there. Get rid of it. 2 years of hormones for me, and I got rid of the boy fat, and lo and behold, there's girl fat underneath. Who would have thought? So awesome. And permanent hair removal can take a couple years, so don't waste any time. Get busy, get on the ball, and start that process sooner rather than later. And of course, the number one thing I recommend to everybody, and I know I harp on this, and I will continually, get yourself a therapist, a good gender therapist, or a therapist at all that has any experience whatsoever in gender issues. You don't want somebody to try and fix you, which, I don't think we live in an age where that's going on too much anymore, but you want somebody who will help you work through things and manage the process and, keep the anxiety somehow reined in, help you work with yourself so that things can be better. I recommend that anyone who can't find matching socks gets a therapist. It's a treat for yourself. I love going to my therapist. It's one of the things I absolutely look forward to, and it's provided by my medical insurance, but I go to their groups when I can, and I see my therapist about once a month or so. He helps schedule a lot of the things that are going on, the surgeries. He gets the referrals going, and it's extremely helpful and kind and wonderful person. I enjoy sitting and talking to him. So that's all I can say about that today. So I think focus on yourself right now. If you're brand new and you don't know what to do, start talking to your doctor. Get a therapist. If you're down the road, this is old hat, then go help someone else who doesn't know. Get on a forum and provide some information. Something benign and helpful. A good place where it's not about relationships and things of that nature, or pictures of themselves, but helpful trans to trans support. That's what you want. One that I recommend is transpulse.com. Absolutely supportive place. I recommend it wholeheartedly. There's lots of good information there, and one thing that they will not be doing is telling you what dosage to take for hormones or anything of that nature. In fact, it is verboten. Don't do it. No suggestive pictures of any nature. no hookups, no dating advice, no talking about personal relationships of that nature. So that's where I would recommend starting. It's a good place of that nature. So good luck to you all. And again, this is Jackie, and it was just a long drive. We're going to get on the freeway, so I'm going to have to go. And we will chat again soon. I've got another electrolysis appointment tomorrow, and we're going to do some ripping. We're going to rip some fresh ground again. So I will be super swollen. I mean, I'm pretty darn swollen through here today, but the Revlon Instafix crayon did its job, and we're happy with that. So we can go to work. Today is Friday, so TGIF Friday. I'll try to get this uploaded as fast as possible. Take care of yourself. Know that I care about you and I'm here for you. Jackie is here to help support. If you're feeling overwhelmed and having dark thoughts, there are resources for you as well. The transpulse.com forum does have fantastic resource pages if you're looking for a therapist in your area that's gender friendly and whatnot. That's actually where I found my very first one, and I was extremely happy with the results. There are people to talk to, and resources for suicide prevention and emotional support in general, and lots of good, solid, friendly people. So take care of yourself. I'm going to go off to work now and finish up my day. Hopefully you'll have a good weekend, and we will see each other again soon. Take care of yourself. Bye.